Hi friends, it's Jasmine, your Vancouver, Washington Realtor extraordinaire. And if you're planning to buy your first home in Vancouver or anywhere in Clark County, I'd love to help guide you through it. You can call me, email me, text me, or fill out my buyer questionnaire link down below. It only takes a minute, and once I know your goals and timeline, I can offer guidance that actually fits you, not just something pulled from a blog post. Now, something I see all the time with first-time buyers, and especially here in Vancouver's fast-moving market, is regret. Not about buying a home, but about how they went into the process. There are a few common mistakes that can make the experience way more stressful than it needs to be, and most of them come down to things no one really warned them about. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 biggest regrets I see from first-time home buyers, the kind of I wish I would have known moments that can turn excitement into overwhelm if you're not prepared. These aren't meant to scare you, they're here to empower you so you can move forward with more clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. And don't forget, if you're just getting started and want to talk it through, my info is below. I'd love to help you avoid these regrets and step into home ownership feeling ready. Let's get into it. The first regret I hear all the time, getting emotionally attached to a home way too fast. The first one is a biggie, and probably the one I see the most. Getting emotionally attached to a house way too fast. And I get it. You scroll through the listing photos, you see that gorgeous kitchen, the sunlight hitting just right through the living room window. Maybe there's a backyard that reminds you of your childhood, and suddenly you're picturing your couch in the corner, your dog running around outside, and it feels like home. That emotional attachment kicks in almost immediately. The problem is, once you've decided in your heart that this is the one, it becomes really hard to stay objective. You might overlook the fact that the roof is 20 years old, or that the layout doesn't actually make sense for your lifestyle. You start rationalizing things like, well, we can fix that down the line, or it's not ideal, but I really love the vibe. And in a market like Vancouver, where homes often go pending within days, there's this added pressure to act quickly, which only ramps up those emotions. I've had clients walk into a home and start measuring for furniture before we've even opened a cabinet. Meanwhile, there's deferred maintenance everywhere, and we haven't even looked at the neighborhood during rush hour. That's how powerful emotions can be. It makes you feel laser focused on the parts you love and way less tuned into the things that might become a problem later. Now, don't get me wrong, you should feel something when you find the right home, but love shouldn't mean settling. It shouldn't mean skipping the inspection or ignoring red flags just because the living room gives you cozy vibes. If anything, that feeling should be the starting point, not the entire decision. So if you find yourself thinking, I'm obsessed with this house, take a breath and ask yourself, is this just excitement, or does it actually check the boxes that matter to me long term? That pause can save you from a lot of regret later. Next up is one that doesn't really hit until after the papers are signed and the moving truck's unloaded, and that's underestimating the actual cost of owning a home. Because while everyone talks about the mortgage payment, that's really just the beginning. When you're renting, it's easy to forget how much is taken care of behind the scenes. If your water heater breaks, your landlord replaces it. If your lawn grows wild, someone else deals with it. But once you're a homeowner, that responsibility and those costs fall entirely on you. And those monthly numbers can really stack up if you're not prepared. In Vancouver, your total monthly housing costs can look really different from what you initially expected. There's your principal and interest, yes, but then you've got property taxes, which vary by neighborhood. Some areas, especially those with newer construction or highly rated school districts, come with a much higher tax bill. Then there's homeowners insurance, and if you've been putting less than 20% down, private mortgage insurance. Add on possible HOA dues, and suddenly your $2,000 mortgage turns into $2,500 monthly cost real quick. And that's just the recurring stuff. There are also the move-in surprises, like needing to buy a washer and dryer, blinds, tools, or just realizing you now have to heat and cool an entire house instead of a 600 square foot apartment. Utilities are usually higher. Yard work might mean buying a lawnmower. And then there's regular maintenance, air filters, gutter cleaning, pest control. Not huge expenses on their own, but together they add up. I once worked with a buyer who felt great about their budget until they got their first electric bill in the winter. They'd moved from a small rental into a 2-story home with vaulted ceilings and learned very quickly what it costs to keep all that space warm. So here's the takeaway. It's not about being afraid of these costs. It's just about knowing they're part of the big picture. When you budget for home ownership, think beyond your mortgage. Think about what it takes to live in the house comfortably, maintain it, and not feel stretched thin after move-in day. It's all doable. You just want to walk into it with your eyes open. This one tends to sneak up on people because it happens during that exciting, high-energy window between getting an offer accepted and moving towards closing. You're excited, you're visualizing your new life in the house, and honestly, you just want to get the keys already. But rushing through the inspection period or treating it like like a formality, is one of those decisions that can really come back to bite you. Inspections are your moment to slow down and take a hard look at what's underneath all the surface stuff. I don't care how beautiful the home looks or how new the appliances are. I've seen homes with flawless staging that had serious issues in the crawl space, electrical problems behind the walls, or a roof with maybe a year left on it. And if you skip over this step too quickly, you might miss things that will cost you thousands down the line. I've also seen buyers hesitate to ask questions during the inspection process because they don't want to seem difficult. But asking questions doesn't make you high maintenance. It makes you smart. This is likely the biggest purchase you've ever made. You should know what you're signing up for. In Vancouver, where we deal with moisture, older homes with hidden quirks, and sometimes less than stellar DIY repairs, inspections are especially important. Even newer homes can have builder oversights. You want to know what you're walking into, not just so you can back out if it's serious, but so you can plan for the things that might need attention soon after you move in. So, if you find yourself tempted to breeze through the inspection just to keep things moving, pause. Read the report thoroughly. Ask the inspector what they would fix first if it were their house. This step is there to protect you, and it's worth taking your time with it, even when everything else feels like it's moving way too fast. This is one of those regrets that doesn't usually show up right away. It creeps in slowly, a few weeks or months after moving in. It's when buyers start to realize that the home they bought doesn't actually fit the way they live. Not because it's a bad home, but because it doesn't support their routines, priorities, or day-to-day flow in the way they expected it to. And I don't say that to scare anyone. It's just really easy to focus on what's exciting during showings. You get caught up in the aesthetics, the hardwood floors, the kitchen island, the vaulted ceilings, and it's totally normal to imagine yourself there. But sometimes buyers get so focused on the features that they forget to zoom out and look at how the space will actually function for them. I've worked with buyers who fell in love with a home on the far outskirts of town. Big yard, great value, quiet street, but a few months later, the 45-minute commute into Portland 5 days a week, not so dreamy anymore. Or clients who bought homes with major renovation potential because the price was great, only to realize they didn't have the time, energy, or money to actually do the work. And living in a half-finished project can be stressful, especially when life is already busy. Even small things can add up. Maybe you cook every night and the kitchen layout is tight, or maybe you work from home and didn't realize how important having a separate office space really is. These are things you don't always notice during a 15-minute showing, but once you move in, they shape how comfortable and functional the home feels. So when you're house hunting, try to picture a regular Tuesday. Picture your grocery run, your workday commute, where your dog's leash will go, and how it'll feel to come home on a rainy night with an armful of groceries. The more you can ground yourself in the reality of living there, not just the fantasy, the more likely you are to end up in a home that truly works for you. Let's wrap it up with something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and that's not leaving any wiggle room in the budget. And I totally get why this happens. Buying a home is expensive. You've saved for the down payment, you've got closing costs coming, and it feels like every dollar is already spoken for. But what I've seen happen time and time again is buyers stretching just a little too far to get into the home and then feeling stressed or stuck when unexpected expenses come up right after move-in. And those expenses, they always come up. Maybe it's needing to buy a washer and a dryer, replace the water heater that suddenly gives out, or realizing the house didn't come with any blinds and now your whole living room is like a fishbowl. These aren't emergencies necessarily, but they're the kind of things that chip away at your comfort and peace of mind if you don't have a little cushion set aside. I've had buyers who were laser focused on using every last dollar to buy as much house as possible, which makes sense in theory, especially when prices are high. But in practice, it left them stressed about furniture, basic upgrades, or even just maintaining their lifestyle after closing. They went from feeling excited to feeling overwhelmed. And that's not what home ownership should feel like, especially at the start. Even setting aside $1,000 to $2,000 can make a big difference. It's not about being over-prepared, it's about giving yourself breathing room. Because moving into a new space should feel like a fresh start, not like you're financially maxed out from day one. So as you figure out your budget, think beyond what the lender says you qualify for. Think about what monthly payments actually feels comfortable for you. Think about what it'll feel like to settle into your new home and still have the freedom to live your life. Go out to dinner, replace that couch you've been meaning to upgrade, or just not panic when your thermostat stops working. It's not just about getting the house, it's about feeling good once you're there. So, If buying your first home in Vancouver, Washington has been on your heart, but you've also been worried about what could go wrong, I hope this video gave you a clearer, more grounded look at what it actually takes to feel good after the keys are in your hand. Here's the thing, buying your first home isn't always easy. There are a lot of moving parts, and yes, there are definitely some things you won't find on a checklist, but it is doable, and when you go into it informed, supported, and a little more prepared for the unexpected, it makes a huge difference in how you feel during and after the process. If you're planning to buy in Clark County and want someone local in your corner, someone who's been through it personally and helps first-time homebuyers navigate this every single week, I'd love to support you. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, or you can fill out my buyer questionnaire linked down below. It only takes a minute, and once I know your budget and your timeline, I'll help you figure out the right next step from where you are right now. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one part of the home buying process that still feels a little unclear or even intimidating? Your question might help someone else who's watching too, and I just may turn it into a future video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!